All right, Russia maneuvering in the Middle East is coming at a cost for the Kremlin, one that may actually have major consequences for President Vladimir Putin and his regime. Amy Kellogg reports for us tonight from Moscow. Amy.
Some polls show Russians think their mission in Syria has been one of their biggest national accomplishments. With ISIS largely defeated as a territorial force there, it's job done, and officially, Russia has pulled out. But it hasn't.
We're not planning to get out ever.
Russia has key Mediterranean military bases in Syria.
While we keep the bases, we're going to have military presence in Syria. Absolutely. And actually, Israel says it's okay too. The Israeli officials have said that they welcome the Russian presence. Russia is a friend, and them being in Syria is just good. As long as that can help Israel control the Iranians.
Russia's entry into Syria has angered Western nations, but also made it some friends in the region. Not many countries can boast being in good stead with Iran, Israel, and Saudi Arabia. Moscow can these days, but Russia may now be in too deep.
It is a challenge for Moscow now to balance the amount of resources it has and amount of resources it wants to commit to the region with the scope of its ambition. And if it doesn't do this particularly good job on this one, then it may risk the fate of the USSR, who kind of, was outstretched in itself.
So far, Putin has contained official Russian military losses because of the reportedly widespread use of mercenaries.
He remembered pretty well bad Afghan experience. That's why he wants to use not regular troops for whom he is responsible, but these proxies.
Alexander Golt says Russians would have pity for conscripts killed in action, but less for hired guns.
But if you are mercenary, for God's sake, you choose this life.
But according to many, the relationship between the Russian Ministry of Defense and the so-called Wagner mercenaries soured after it was exposed. Finally, Putin's relationship with Syrian President Bashar al-Assad appears to have become complicated. Assad has reportedly coerced Putin into fighting a lot of non-ISIS rebels, something the Kremlin never signed up for.
So we think Putin is a hostage to Bashar al-Assad and Iran's plans to clear up the entire territory of Syria.
Experts say that Putin should have laid out the terms of his support for the Assad regime before he went in the first place. Now, perhaps, it is too late. And finally, with ISIS having faded to a large extent as a common enemy, the U.S. and Russia are increasingly likely to clash on the Syrian battleground. Shannon.
Amy Kellogg, thank you so much from Moscow.